before we get in this episode, can you do us a favor? Will you go ahead and subscribe to the channel?
Will you ring that notification bell?
And if you would, give this video a like. Well, enough of that mumbo jumbo. Let's get to the episode.
Let's talk developmentally speaking, glow up, and connecting through wrestling.
Hey everybody, it's Brian, and on today's episode of Connecting Through Wrestling, well, we have my podcast partner, Mortimer Blankenship III.
Hey Brian, how's it going?
Oh, I've been better. A little under the weather, but, you can't keep the mutton chop millionaire waiting.
Well, that's true. It's not like you didn't already know because this guy just said it, but my name is Mortimer Blankenship III, the Mutton Chop Millionaire. It's a name you're going to grow to love, a name that you're going to grow to know forever. So, like you said, time is money, and money is the most important thing to me. So, Brian, if we could keep this going, that'd be great.
All right, Mortimer, what made you want to get into professional wrestling?
Well, to be honest with you, it wasn't ever really a plan that I've ever made in life. It was, I've always watched wrestling. I was a fan, it was something that me and my father did growing up. My dad would, during the Monday Night Wars, my dad would watch Raw in his bedroom, and I would watch, Nitro in my bedroom. And usually, the commercials were offset just enough that I could run to his room during my commercials and catch part of that, and then run back, and then I would tell him what was going on Nitro, and I'd watch what was happening on Raw. But I never thought about being in wrestling. That was just something that I went to watch. Well, not something I ever thought I would do. But my mother worked with a gentleman by the name of Lonnie Kincaid, who was a wrestler. He wrestled for the Moondogs and stuff like that back in the '90s, and I met him at Cummins because I was working there one summer, and he asked me if I was still acting because in high school I was an actor, and I said no. Since I got out of school, I really haven't had a chance to act. And he goes, "Well," I'm like, "Do you still wrestle?" He goes, "I just got back into it, and I need somebody to be my manager and to come in and give legal documents to people, basically like, here, I'm serving you this." I said, "Sure." He goes, "Well, your homework is to think of a name." I said, "Mortimer Sebastian Blankenship III." Immediately, like that. And he goes, "You thought of this before?" I said, "No, but I think that sounds like some, kind of a douchey name, so that's why I went with it. It's kind of a douchey name. I mean, so from that day forward, Mortimer Blankenship was born.
So, where did you break in at?
I broke in at, it was called SCW, Supreme Championship Wrestling, in Madison, Indiana.
With
At
the
the
great
time,
Matt Douglas.
at the time it was ran by Matt Douglas. Matt Douglas, I walked back there. I was green. I'd never been trained. I didn't know what I was just there to run my mouth and act this role and hand the paperwork to whoever I was supposed to hand. Turned out it was Roger Blade who I was supposed to be working with in this situation. And that first show, I ended up hitting Roger Blade over the head with a clipboard. At the end of the match, it was a plastic clipboard, my dad's clipboard. Broke it into 10 different pieces. One piece went to the audience and went to the back. Matt Douglas told me that I wasn't allowed to do that. That he didn't approve that, and that I would never show my face in Madison again as long as he had something to say about it. Well, as anybody who knows anything about my career knows, that that's probably the most incorrect, erroneous thing anybody has ever said about my wrestling career. So that was my first show. Now the second show, you remember because we were brothers on that show.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So on the first show, when I told him my name was Mortimer Sebastian Blankenship III, he goes, "Drop the Sebastian. We have Sebastian Eros on this show." My good friend Van Mardigan, he was going by Sebastian Eros at the time. And So I dropped the Sebastian. You picked it up. So on that show, you were Sebastian Blankenship, and I was Mortimer Blankenship, and that's where I met Eric Draven. And then that show got canceled after that one. That after that show, they never had another one, so I thought I was done.
I don't remember
So they were gone.
how I ended up there. I don't
How you ended up
remember.
on that show?
Yeah, I don't remember at all. I remember being there. I just don't remember how it happened because we managed some guy named Jesse, right?
Jesse Watson. Jesse Watson, the guy that got in trouble for stealing belts from promotions. I don't know. Jesse's one of the stories. That's what I heard. If it's not true, you can yell at me on Facebook. I don't care. If you did, you shouldn't have stole a damn belt. What's wrong with you, man? It's a gimmick.
It's true.
Anyway, it's a gimmick, bro. So yeah, it. After that, I thought I was done. I just thought, well, I got to do some cool stuff, and that was it. But it all kind of changed. Uh, Keep in mind, I had not had a bit of wrestling training
Hmm.
yet. None. I was just playing a character. They're like, if I hit you, just act like I hit you. I'm like, cool. That sounds fun. Don't really know what else to do. I remember at one point, I remember at one point Roger Blade and I were on the outside, and like I had never thrown a wrestling punch in my life, but I knew enough about wrestling that if you grab someone to hit them across the back, you want to use as much as your arm as possible, make as much, and that's what I was doing. Boom, boom, boom. Next thing I know, he's in like I'm like, well, he's set up for a DDT. I mean, I guess I'll just fall back and hope for the best.
Was this
Plus,
vampire Roger Blade?
huh?
Was he a vampire still?
No, no, this wasn't Vampire Roger Blade. That was before my time. That was you were a part of that whole
This
situation,
was
but
before he had ankle problems.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But I, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just, so I'm thinking maybe he'll slip through or do so. So I go ahead and go for it, and I left it loose. I didn't hang on to his head. I just did what I thought was right, and he pulled out, and I bumped just boom on that. First time I'd ever bumped, I was like, oh shit! Like just laid him, did it right in front of my dad, and my dad was just like ready to get up and start beating up on Roger, and I'm just laying there, and I kind of looked at Dad like I'm okay, and he's hitting me, and I'm just like, you know. But yeah, so that's the early times. I mean, after that, it was a few months later that I got a call from Draven, and I started training, and yeah.
So let's pull back the curtain a little bit. Let's talk about Eric Draven and your loyalty and what Supreme and what Draven mean to you and why you stuck there.
To be honest, Supreme Wrestling. Um, well, okay, so Draven, the show that you and I were on with him, that was Draven planned on that being his last show that year.
Hmm.
He didn't want to be in it anymore. It wasn't fun anymore. Then he met us, and um, I interacted with him a little bit more than you did in that show. I think you were more interacting with Mike getting kicked in the face.
I
But
sold that. I sold it.
but yeah, I interacted with him, had a good time. I remember we had an envelope that had money in it, but it was coupons is what we put in it, right? And we were handing out like, here, here's this, and we just had a good time. And I guess Draymond said that he had so much fun with us that night that he wanted to hire me for the because you had moved on and I think this was when you were. What year did you go to Florida?
2000 WrestleMania 28, 2012.
Okay, right. So I started in 2011. So around this time you had You
No,
had other players
yeah,
that were
I had already had. I think I was already up in Indy, and I was because I
yeah
moved from Indy to Tampa. Yeah.
yeah you had already had plans. So he called me and I was like, all right. So I went down. So I guess it's because he took a chance on me when I didn't know jack squat about what it was to be in wrestling.
Hmm.
I knew what wrestling was, I knew what acting was, I knew what a character was, but I didn't know necessarily what I was going to do when it came to throwing punches or running ropes or because eventually I wanted to, and I mean initially I wanted to be a full-time you know wrestler. I wanted to wrestle. I didn't want to be a manager. But 6 months into my training, and I still haven't figured out. I can run the ropes. I
Hmm.
can throw punches, I can throw clothesline. I could do everything that offense wise. I could do that, but I couldn't bump.
Hmm.
And and that is what held me back from being a wrestler. I finally swallowed a pill, a really jagged pill, and said the wrestling portion probably isn't me. Now, granted, I still get to do matches every now
Hmm.
and again, and even though I can't bump or the darn, I still know how to make a match. And some of these newer guys won't ever have a match with me. I guarantee it because they can't do all the flippy stuff. Because I don't want to do that stuff. Yeah, I'll stand on the outside and catch you any day. I'll lay on the mat and let you jump on me. I don't
Hmm.
care. But if you want me to get on the top rope and do something flippy with you, ain't happening. If you want me to take a pile driver, you want me to take no, I'll take a code red any day. I don't care, as long as it's a bump where I go to my back, I'll
Hmm.
do it. But it's just I don't front bump. I can't front bump.
Hmm.
My back bumps are mediocre at best, and I know that. So that's why I don't wrestle full time. And if I ever did wrestle full time, it would be in a match that doesn't have to bump. I mean, I'm a big guy, but Morty, being the manager, everybody thinks he's weak, so I have to bump in that situation.
Hmm.
So
So
anyway, the question was,
No Vader salts anytime soon.
oh no, no,
Okay.
not at all. But your question when it came to why Supreme? Well, because he took a chance on me. He let me develop my character free range.
Hmm.
There was no telling me what I was going to do. Um, he worked with me during hard times in my life. I don't want to get too deep into it, but there were some hard times in my life that he worked with me. Um, and at one point, I was helping book the show,
Hmm.
so I got to learn that aspect. So uh, I think it was the fact that managers are a lost art,
Hmm.
and I knew that you know the only way you could become a manager really in the E or AEW or something like that is you're either a legend or that's about it. Paul Heyman or
Like your boy Tony Atlas.
right. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way that you can really become a manager in the WWE or anything now because and to be honest, I don't want that. I I think to be a manager of WWE would not be fulfilling creatively for me. Money isn't okay. Mortimer Blankenship, money's everything. Matt Robinson, money isn't everything.
Hmm.
So I don't I, I don't want to go do something that I won't enjoy
Hmm.
for a whole lot of money. I'm more content to play a character in front of 100 people, to make those people laugh, to make those kids absolutely love when I finally get my butt kicked, or when I finally kick someone's butt. If I'm baby heel, it don't matter.
Hmm.
I get more from the reaction of a crowd than I do green paper. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Hmm.
So that's just always been me. Um, when you're born an attention whore, you figure out a way to stay an attention whore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what wrestling is for me. And Supreme has given me a great place to do that. Also, Emerge. I can't throw,
Mm-hmm.
Emerge and Supreme have both been great to me. Um, but and I've done some other shows. I've worked Mid South down in Dyersburg. I've worked for HCW up in Terre Haute. Um, both good shows. Both good shows. I've worked Circle City Wrestling. I've worked for. There's enough places I can't remember them all.
Yeah.
Um, but I've done. I've for someone who has stayed primarily in one or two companies. I've done a lot.
Yeah.
Um, I've I've traveled. I saw this post on Facebook today. It was one of those where it's like so much money for everything that you've done in wrestling, right? And it was like, traveled over 3 hours for a show, done that. You know, got stood up by a booker for no on pay. I've had that happen to me. I've talked to the police on a wrestling show. So many different things. The only thing I hadn't done was um, have a physical altercation with a fan. I take that back. Never
You
mind.
about killed
I
one.
would
You
have
about killed
added
one.
them wrong. Okay, I just now realized there was a show one time, and after I tell this story, we'll go back to the questions. I remember it was back when everybody was calling me Twinkie because I
Mm-hmm.
had so many different nicknames. Blueberry, Pillsbury Doughboy, Watermelon, Twinkie. Anything that has to do with being fat, they probably called me that. So this we had these Twinkies, and this this woman threw a Twinkie at me and hit me in the back of the head. Well, I picked it up and I threw it back at her just as hard as she threw it at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where it hit her at, but she jumped up and came after me, and she had real long nails and dug into me. And I don't know if you can see it. Let me get the camera there. I can't, but there's a little scar on my hand still from where she dug into my hand. So I
Mm-hmm.
guess I have had a physical altercation with a fan before. But what it is, what it is. If you're doing your job right, I mean, she threw the Twinkie and hit me first. If I would have been hit, I would have turned around and thrown it back. You know,
It's kind of like getting a receipt and someone pops you one.
yeah, absolutely. That's
So
how it goes.
no Tommy Taylor story.
Yeah.
So Mortimer Blankenship, primarily Supreme, primarily Emerge. Is it the same? Are you the same in both companies, or?
Right now, no. Right now, I'm heel at Emerge and I'm babyface at Supreme.
Mhm.
Um, Emerge is a monthly show,
Yeah.
so I work every Emerge storyline. Well, right now I'm in there's a storyline where I'm just cutting promos for them right now, and I'll be
Mhm.
back in a few months probably. I don't we don't know where it's going just yet, but I'm writing the story. Supreme, I work the Seymour shows, which are once a month as well. So I do about two shows a month. I mean, I want to get more down at Supreme, which is life's hectic, and I would love to get once I lose more weight and be able to do it back the way I used to. Yeah, I gained a lot of weight in the past few years. But I'm down as of recently. I'm down almost 60 pounds. So it's I look forward to being able to do more.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, at Emerge, I'm heel. They hate me. At Supreme and Seymour, they love me because they know me as a Seymour guy. Mortimer Blankenship, still from Georgia, Connecticut, but Matt Robinson, Seymour guy. I mean, come on. So,
So let me let's see here. So what made you want to do this podcast? To take this chapter? Um, what made you say yes?
um, well, you're my friend. It's that simple. You had a vision that you
Hmm.
wanted to do. Um, and I made it clear to you early on that I can't guarantee success
Hmm.
on anything when it comes to that. I will help you, and I
Hmm.
can help you with what I know from having a previous YouTube channel that did get monetized. And you know, I have a couple of friends that are YouTubers. We could help. They could give us advice, stuff like that. And I went to college for a very short bit to do, and I learned how to do editing and stuff like that. I went for telecommunications at Ball State, but I said yes to help you to get you going. So you know, it's one of those things where I do what I can,
Hmm.
and
It shows a
I
different side. It shows a different Morty. I feel.
oh well, it shows Matt. I just use
Yeah.
Morty
Yeah.
because that's what I'm known as. Why as of 2011, Matt became just the guy at the house.
Yeah.
When I go out, it's Morty. Nobody yells, "Hey Matt!" They just yell, "Hey Morty."
Hmm.
So yeah, Mortimer is my stage name. I mean, but it's more than that. Morty, I have to use Morty on social media because that's what people know me as.
Yeah.
I mean, you go on Facebook, Morty has almost 5,000 friends. Matt has maybe 2,000. It's just how it goes when you become somebody different and that person becomes well known under that name. Well, you become well known for that name. Sorry, I feel like I have that like disassociative thing where
Yeah.
even though we're the same, when I'm in character, I'm different.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. You hear wrestlers talk about that all the time when they get in the gimmick, but they sometimes don't know how to separate the gimmick from real life. I feel like
Flair.
yeah, I feel like I actually can do that.
Hmm.
Morty is Matt's loud. Matt's very loud. Matt's always been loud, but Morty I think is to the max level of loudness, arrogance. I like to think that Matt is humble. Um, yeah, Matt's an attention whore. That's why Morty exists. But you know, I like to think that I have better morals than Morty does. Matt
Okay.
has better, you know, but I only do the bad things within the parameters of I was supposed to do it for the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or to help promote the show, to promote you know. So there's Mortimer Blankenship. It's almost like there's Mortimer Blankenship, there's Morty, and there's Matt.
Now, do people associate you now that this podcast is out, or is it just more to mirror? Fans wise, show wise, Morty wise.
Show wise, I've had more people recognize me. Um, it's hard to explain. I've been recognized from so many different things um, that I ask now. I'm like, so it's just like, hey, I know you. You're Morty. I'm like, okay, so where do you know? If they hey, I know you, and they don't say Morty, then I know that they know me from where I worked at for years.
Yep. Where you
Like,
denied
yeah,
Jelly Roll. Yes.
huh? Yeah, Jelly Roll in the drive-through at Arby's. I worked at Arby's for years. People knew me as the Arby's guy. So if they say, "Hey, I know you. You're the Arby's guy," I don't have to ask. But they, "Hey, Morty. Hey, yeah, that's me. How do you know me?" Then they'll either say wrestling, uh, the Carpetbagger,
Hmm.
which is my buddy on YouTube, um, Morty and Beard, or developmentally speaking. And I've had it all. I've had a lady the other day say, "Hey, you do that podcast?" She's like, "I saw it in the paper because we were in the paper." She's like,
Hmm.
"Yeah." She goes, "I don't know much about wrestling, but I listened to some stuff. You guys have some really interesting stuff." It's just like, thanks. So yeah, I've been noticed for multiple things. I mean,
Hmm.
I had a guy come through the drive-through a long time ago, and he had big sideburns. I'm like, "Hey man, nice sideburns. I got them too." And you know, he's like, "Yeah, I get this YouTuber I watch has him." I'm like, "Oh, is it Jacob the Carpetbagger?" You go, "Yeah." And I'm like, "I'm Morty. Nice to meet you." And it clicked. that, oh, wait, what? He's like, oh my, and he actually had to come in and take a picture with me. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't, how do I explain this? People tell me, not the people that come up, people that I work with, friends, they say, hey, you're kind of a celebrity. I don't think that. I don't see myself as a celebrity. I'll jokingly call myself a Z-list celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm on the Z list, as low as you can get as a celebrity. But I don't really think I'm a celebrity. I'm just some guy that happens to do things that some people see.
Mm-hmm.
More people don't know who I am than know who I am. In order for someone to be a celebrity, I feel like more people in the world need to know who you are than who don't know who you are.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just the way I look at it. So why did I? So do people notice me because of this? Yes. Do they notice me more because of this than wrestling? No, not yet by any means.
Fair enough.
Um,
Fair enough.
yeah.
What is next for Mortimer Blankenship, Morty, or Matt? Where do you see yourself going?
Um, I'm not quite sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's always changing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for Matt, I see myself starting a family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for Morty, I see myself helping you as much as I can. For Mortimer Blankenship, I see myself taking people to win belts and you know other things like that.
Popping bottles and dating models.
Yeah.
So, if you had any advice that you could give to somebody about getting into professional wrestling, what would it be?
Don't as many times as I asked this question, I've never really thought of it. Stay humble.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down and listen to what people have to tell you because they've been there before you. Um, that's what I did. Um,
Mm-hmm.
make sure you get, you know, the person I got trained by, Eric Draven, has been wrestling for a long, long time. Um, he's had a very long wrestling career. He was
Mm-hmm.
trained by very, very good people. Make sure that when you get trained, you're trained by somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's hard to judge, if you know nothing
Mm-hmm.
about wrestling. But ask around, ask people um, who who's who and who's not.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in the Midwest, um, everybody's a trainer. It would seem. Um, also, as somebody who got into wrestling on a fluke,
Mm-hmm.
that never intended this to be as long as it has been, that never really had the aspirations to get to the top. I have been looked at differently in the business because there's people that want to. Well, if you don't want to make it to the top, why are you here? Don't let other people decide. Don't let other people change your decisions on what you want to do with wrestling. If you in wrestling, if you doing your local show and helping it grow is your goal, then do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I never went to any big time
Big time.
thing. But when it comes to wrestling, I've really done what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
any person in wrestling, their ultimate goal, in my mind, is to be remembered.
Mm-hmm.
And it may not be a lot of people, but I like to think that one day there's going to be a grandparent that takes their grandkid to a wrestling show and they see something happen and they look and they say, when I was your age, I remember this guy named Morty, and boy, did I hate that guy. Or, it doesn't matter. It just, or, or man, he really got his butt kicked, or,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what, just as long as somebody remembers me, Matt, Morty, Mortimer, it don't matter because that's the goal in life
Mm-hmm.
is to, when I'm gone, people remember who I am. So my advice is don't let anybody tell you that your goal doesn't matter, no matter how small or big it is.
Absolutely. Morty, it's nice to be able to interview you and give the fans a little insight on who you are.
Yeah, it's fun.
With that being said, I'm Brian Asbury.
Hey, and I'm Mortimer Blankenship. How's it going?
And we'll see you on Monday.
Bye.
Hey everybody, it's Morty.
It's Brian.
And thank you for watching today's episode of Developmentally Speaking.
If you could, please click that subscribe button.
And don't forget to punch that bell icon so you can get notified whenever we go live or drop a new video every Monday. Well, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next
Developmentally Speaking.